Hello everybody, it's Sarah, and you might be able to see right here there are some shelves in my bookcases that are lacking some books, and that is because I decided to do all of my unfinished series video that I talked about in my reading goals for 2020 video. If you have seen that other video, you will already know that one of my goals for next year is to make some progress with my unfinished series, because I have a lot of unfinished series on my shelves. I in fact almost have 40 unfinished series on my shelf, and I'm not happy with that. And my goal won't be necessarily to finish most of those series or to finish any of those series, but just to make some progress with those series, to just have less books that I will have to read for this series, because that's like almost 70 books or 80 books actually, and also maybe to just decide to DNF some of the series. So let me just get right into the video, because it's gonna be long enough as it is. I probably won't say a lot about what these series are about. I'll just very quickly say the name, the author, how many books there are, how many books I have read, and how I like it so far. And also I will have two parts to this video. One part is the series that I have started and that I just simply haven't finished yet, but that are already finished, or that are at least further in how many books are published than how many books I read. And then also the series that I'm caught up with, that a lot of them have books coming out in 2020, or at least rumored to have books coming out in 2020. So yeah, then let me just get right into it and tell you all of the series that I'm caught up on. And by the way, I'm going in alphabetical order, just to have some semblance of order in this video. The first series that I have is the Wicked Fox series, or the Gumiho series, I'm not sure what it's called, by Kat Jo. This is kind of a K-drama inspired series. Only the first book is out so far. The second book is supposed to come out in 2020, and I gave it 3 or 4 stars probably. So I enjoyed it enough to pick up the next book, but I don't have a definite opinion on the series as a whole so far. Next I have The Gilded Wolves by Roshani Chokshi. The next book, The Silver Serpents, is actually going to come out in February, I think. I really enjoyed this book. It's one of my favorite books of 2019 so far. Again, only the first book has come out, and yeah, I'm highly excited for book 2. Another first book in a series where the second book is probably going to come out sometime next year is The Red Scrolls of Magic, which the series is The Eldest Curses by Cassandra Clare, and this is of course the series following Magnus and Alec, and I really enjoyed this first book. And the only thing I really had to say that I didn't like is that it's so short. Another first book is The Good Luck Girls by Charlotte Nicole Davies, and I think this is supposed to be a series. I'm not sure yet, but on Goodreads there is a second book planned, with the same series title. So hopefully there's going to be a second book, because I really enjoyed this first book, and it's a kind of steampunk western dystopian type story. And I'm just going through all the series that came out in 2019 apparently, that only have first books out so far, is The Curse Breakers by Bridget Camera. The first book of course being A Curse to Dark and Lonely. The second book is actually supposed to come out in January, so I will have that quite soon. And again, it's just one of those series where I think I'm just going to read the second book and see how I feel afterwards. Then another first book out only series that came out in 2019 is, I think it's called The Blood of the Stars by Elizabeth Lim, the first book being Spin at Dawn, and I am so excited for the second book, which is Unravel at Dusk. This was another 5-star read and one of my favorites of 2019, and I highly recommend it, since it's a Mulan retelling but with a tailor as a main character. Next 2019 published only first book out series is Shelby Mahurin's Serpent and Dove series, and I enjoyed it when I read it, and I like it less and less the more time passes, but I will still read the second book and see how I feel about it afterwards. Then Hallelujah, the first series that hasn't only been published in 2019, and so I have read more than just the one book. More than one book is out, and that is A Song of Ice and Fire by George R. R. Martin. The first book, of course, being Game of Thrones. We have been waiting for 9 years for a sequel. Apparently there's like rumors that Winds of Winter is supposed to come out in 2020, and I really hope it will. And if it is going to come out, then I will definitely reread this series. And we're back to 2019 series releases with A Crown of Feathers by Nikki Pau Preto, which I also really enjoyed. And I think again the second book is supposed to come out quite early next year, and I'm definitely excited for this one. Next we have The Kingkiller Chronicles by Patrick Rothfuss, another series where we have been waiting ages for the next and final book, which is Doors of Stone. And yeah, apparently it's also supposed to come out in 2020 in August, according to Amazon and Goodreads, but we'll see. Back to the 2009 releases, The Crown of Coral and Pearl series by Mara Rutherford, which I think there's supposed to be another book coming. I think this is a series. But yeah, this is kind of one of those average series. Wanna read the next book, let's see how it is. If I don't pick up the next book right away when it's coming out, I'll probably never pick it up, but yeah, we'll see. It's still on my radar so far. Then an oldie but a goodie is the Stormlight Archive series by Brandon Sanderson. All in all, it's gonna be 10 books. It's one of my favorite series of all time, absolutely. And we got the news for the release of book 4 a few days ago, which is going to be in November of 2020. So still almost a whole year that we have to wait, but enough time to reread the first 3 books in the series, and I'm really excited. Another Brandon Sanderson series where we have been waiting for quite some time now for the sequel is the Mistborn Era 2 series, the Wax and Wayne series, where I think the last book came out in early 2017 maybe. And yeah, I might enjoy this more than Mistborn Era 1, but I have to reread both of the series to be absolutely sure. But I still highly recommend and absolutely love it. The last of the Brandon Sanderson series that I'm caught up with is the Skyward series, which is probably my favorite series of his outside of the Cosmere universe. And yeah, absolutely love it. But the second book only just came out and we'll probably have to wait until 2021 for the next one. Then I'm down to my last 2 series that I'm caught up with, and the first one is the Camelot Rising series, starting with The Guinevere Deception by Kirsten White. I only just read this a couple of months ago, I think in October, and I absolutely love it, and I hope the second book is gonna come out soon in 2020. And then the last one of this series, we actually have 2 books out already as well, is the Bring Me Their Heart series. I think that's what it's called. The second book only just came out last month, and I really enjoyed both books so far. It's like a solid 3.5 to 4 star series, and by the way, it's by Sarah Wolf, if I forgot to say that. So that was it for the series that I'm caught up on, and now on to the series that I am helplessly behind. The first series is the Children of Blood and Bone series, or I think it's called the Orisha series by Tomi Adeyemi. The second book only just came out this month, but I'm not sure when I'll get to it, so yeah, that's on that. I liked-ish the first book, but again, I'll have to read the second book and then see how I feel about continuing. Then I only just started this year, even though it's old as fuck, the Shadow and Bone trilogy, Grisha trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. And yeah, I enjoyed the first book. I want to read the whole series until the TV show comes out, because Ben Barnes is one of my favorite actors, and now I'm going to have to watch the TV show because he's in it. So yeah, so I'll have to read the series first. Then we have the Robert Langdon series, I think it's called, by Dan Brown. I read the first 2 books in the series, and I think there's a total of 5 books, but this is kind of like an open-ended, because of course it's like a thriller mystery type series, so they're not as connected as fantasy series where you'd have to like read everything to get the whole picture, but every book is a story that's closed in itself. So it's not as urgent, or I don't feel as bad for not having read all of the books. Next I have the Iskari series, which is a series of 3 companion novels. I only read The Last Namzara and I really enjoyed it. It's by Kirsten Ciccarelli, by the way, because I always forget to say the author's name apparently. So yeah, I do want to read the other 2 books in that series as well. Then I have the Invisible Library series by Genevieve Cogman. I do not think that all the books in the series have been published so far. I think there were 6 books in total published and a 7th at least is on the way. But I have only read 2 of the books anyway, so I'll at least have to catch up with the series. Next is the Books of Pelennor series by Alison Croghan. I've only read the first 2 books, The Naming and The Riddle, I think is the second book, and I really enjoyed both of them. I'm still rereading The Riddle so that I can finally go on with book 3 and 4. Next is a series I'm not sure I will ever finish, but I want to read at least the first 3 books because I own those, and that's the Serpent War series by Raymond Feist. And there were just a whole lot of issues I had with this book and not a lot of enjoyment I got out of it. But yeah, I'm gonna try to at least read the second book and then see how I'll move on from there. Then I have the Eon or Iona duology by Alison Goodman. I read the first book this year and there's only 1 more book in this series, so I'd better get to it and I'll just read it in 2020. Then I have 2 series by Laurel K. Hamilton. One is the Mary Chantry Fae series and the other one is the Anita Blake Vampire Hunter series. I have only 1 book left to read in the Mary Chantry series, I think, and in the Anita Blake series there's like 5 books that I haven't read yet, but there's a total of 25, 26 books, so yeah. I have read most of them already, and I did start a reread of the Anita Blake series in late 2018 and then just never continued. Then this is another series where I remembered enjoying this first book, but then I never continued on with the series for some reason, and that is the Iron Druid Chronicles by Kevin Hearn. And I don't know, I think I might want to pick up at least the next book in the series because they're short and they're quick reads, and I remember they were quite fun, and they just focus on like more Celtic mythology and kind of fantasy aspects, and I really enjoyed that. Next I have the Soldier's Son trilogy by Robin Hobb. I only read the first book, but I own all 3 of them, and I read this first book this year, and so maybe in 2020 I can just quickly finish off the whole trilogy. Another series that is already finished but that I only started in 2019 is the Broken Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin, and I really enjoyed the 5th season. I only read the 5th season so far, but I have heard a lot of mixed things about the other 2 books in the series, so I'm kind of hesitant to pick the other 2 up, and I'm kind of scared, to be honest. A series that will happen in 2020 or early 2021 is the Wheel of Time series by Robert Jordan. I read the first 3 books in this 15-book series, so I have read a 5th of the series so far, and I definitely want to get a good chunk of this read in 2020. So we'll see when I rewatch this video next year if I have managed to finish the whole series or not. Then is the first book that I absolutely did not like, but that I still want to give the second book a chance, especially since I have heard a lot of good things about the second book, but then again I also heard a lot of good things about the first one, so I don't know. But it's the Poppy War series by R.F. Kuang, and yeah, really didn't like the first one. If you want to know why, I will leave my rant review in the description box down below and up there as well. And we'll see how I feel about the second one if I ever pick it up, which I hopefully will do. Next I have 2 Juliette Marillier series. The first one is Wildwood Dancing, which is part of, I think it's called the Wildwood duology. And the second one is the Shadowfell trilogy. For this one I would definitely have to reread the first book until I go on to the second and third one. And for Wildwood Dancing, I think the second book is more of a companion novel, so I don't think it matters that I remember hardly anything from this book, but I still want to read more Juliette Marillier again because I really used to love her writing. Next is a series that I could also probably have put with the Caught Up with books, and that is Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha Nunn, and that's because I am currently reading Girls of Storm and Shadow, which is the second book in this series. But yeah, this is also a plan, and I'm highly enjoying this series so far. Then a series that has been probably on my shelf for a long time already is The Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Paolini. I'm currently rereading the second book so that I can finally maybe move on to the third and maybe fourth book if I do not DNF the series. But yeah, I still kind of wanna continue on. Next, I think this is called the Westria series by Diana L. Paxson, and I read this ages ago, just the first book, and I think it's a 6 or 7 book series, and it's just classic fantasy, and I kind of just really want to continue it because I got the whole series from a friend of my mom's like ages ago, as I said. And yeah, I did enjoy the first book when I first read it, and also they're really short. A series that I'm almost finished with is the Draconis Memoria series by Anthony Ryan. I read the first 2 books already. I only have the last book left, so hopefully in 2020 I will put a check mark on this one. Then I have 2 whole Brandon Sanderson series that I have not finished yet. I have the Alcatraz series, which is his one middle grade series, and the Reckoner series, which is a YA superhero kind of story. And I really enjoy both of these series, and I do not know why I have not finished them yet. And it has to happen soon. Then I have The Abyss Surrounds Us by Emily Skrutsky, also a book that I read this year. This is only part of a duology. It's really short books, and I am going to have to somehow finish it in 2020. I do not care what I'm going to do. Also, it's lesbian pirates, so it's great. And then the very last series, it's kind of fitting that I'm finishing with this one, is The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. Yes, I still have not finished the series. I still have the last book, The Return of the King, left to read. And yeah, it's going to happen. I promise, it's going to happen. Anyway, that was it for all the unfinished series on my shelves. Actually not, because I did not choose any series where I'm pretty sure that I'll never continue on with the series anyway. And I also did not choose any series where I have not started the series yet, but still somehow have all the books on my shelves. And with that said, tell me in the comments down below, do you struggle as much as I do with finishing series? And if you don't struggle as much as I do, what is your secret? Please tell me. I feel like every year there's thousands of new series coming out, and it's so hard to keep up with them, but then to also finish the series that you have started, that you haven't just come out with. And yeah, it's hard. But anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please think about giving me a thumbs up and also maybe subscribing. All the links to my social media are as always in the description box down below, so go and check those out, and I hope I'll see you soon. Bye!